Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sabina and I help people get rid of unwanted emotions, feelings and thoughts. And today I want to give a specific example of how just one belief can have a huge impact on your life. So, quite a years ago, I was like 10 years old. And it was Friday, so I had been shopping a bit in the local candy store and I bought for a few pennies of candy. So I was walking home Friday afternoon, excited to eat my candy. I had this thing where I didn't want to eat it before I was home so I could really enjoy it. And I remember it was this fall day. There was wind in the leaves. They were like scratching the pavement. It was a bit of sun coming through the clouds and kind of a gloomy day. And I could hear my own footsteps because no one else was on the road at that point, at that time. Most people were still at work. It was like 2 o'clock or something. And then suddenly I hear some steps behind me. And I just, look over my shoulder to see what is that. And I saw this young man who I could kind of recognize because I think he was maybe in one of the, if not the oldest class of the school I went to. And I just proceeded walking. But I felt like a slight sense of discomfort and I didn't really pay a lot of attention to it. So I continue walking and I can kind of hear the bag with the candy like whistling and grinding in my pocket of my jacket. And yeah, I'm just focusing on getting home as fast as possible. And then suddenly I hear the steps intensifying, like the steps is getting louder, closer and also faster. And I could feel my heart starts beating a bit faster and also I can feel a bit shorten of my breath. And I really have the urge to look back again, but at the same time something is stopping me from doing it. And I can hear, faster and faster, closer and closer, and I know that it was the guy that I saw just a second ago. And suddenly I'm just, my hands are getting a bit sweaty, I can feel my breath is shortening, and the thoughts are just overwhelming in my mind suddenly. It's just like somebody hit a button, right? So it's like, okay, what's he going to do? Do he want to do something? Can anybody hear me if something happens? Am I all alone here? Will I ever come home and eat my candy? Will this be the last day I live? These thoughts are just starting automatically in my mind and I'm like, oh. And then suddenly I feel something on my shoulder and I just, in a split of a second, I turn around to just face the facts, face the truth, right? Because now I think, okay, I'm screwed now, basically. And I turn around and I see him right in front of me and I look down because his hand is very close to me and I see this piece of candy which is wrapped in plastic in his hand. And he just calmly says, "Oh, I think you dropped something." And I just take the piece of candy and before I get to say anything, he's just turned around and he's going back. And I stand there for a second and I realize that I was afraid. I thought he was going to do something to me. I thought he was going to hurt me in some way. But what actually happened was that he saw me drop a piece of candy. He could have left it out, he could not even have seen it, or he could not care, or he could have eaten it himself, he was like a kid. But instead he chose to go another route just to pick up my piece of candy and run to me to make sure I got it. So he was actually being extremely nice and extremely kind. But the feelings and the thoughts I had, which was not reflecting what was actually going on, was in another direction where I expected the worst and I was actually afraid. And besides the mental and physical stress that I put on myself in that moment, you can say, well, it's better to be safe than sorry. What's the deal? Like, if you're a young kid and you're walking home alone, of course you get afraid if somebody's coming to you and, and I can see that point, but this is just a way to show that something was going on in my mind that didn't reflect what was actually going on. And the misunderstanding did not come from it's just normal to think that way. No, it came from an idea I had. Probably a different kinds of idea, but one main idea, which was men are dangerous. And I learned that from, for example, watching television, with hearing men hurting and doing things to women, and also hearing my mom talk about it, and all that fear just programmed me to believe that men were dangerous. And where it gets very, very tricky with a belief like this is not necessarily when somebody's giving you the candy and you thought he would do something to you. That's fine. But the real thing is that later on in my life, I still had the beliefs, because it doesn't disappear just because you have a few experiences, right? It's stuck in your subconscious mind. And I didn't know at the time that that was the cause. I just thought it was normal, that I was afraid. So later on, I have other experiences, and I actually end up in abusive relationship. And I thought, this is just the way men are, so I accepted it. And I subconsciously picked a certain type of men. So I was not only in one, but actually 2 very abusive relationships. And I was lucky that I didn't get hurt, and that I got out of it, and I got rid of this belief, so that now the partner I'm with is completely different and very healthy and loving and kind. But that would not have been possible for me if I did not get rid of this belief about men being dangerous. And I have clients, men can be dangerous. You can also have the belief that people are dangerous, or that women are dangerous. And what I've seen from people that I work with is that this belief about people, men or women, being dangerous is always present in very dangerous or toxic relationships. And for some people it gets very serious, and they get very hurt mentally and physically, which in some cases can cause people to basically die, if it's that bad. And I know that there can be more at play than one belief, but as long as you have this belief that, men, women, or people are dangerous, this will immensely affect you, your health, your happiness, your ability to, feel good, your ability to feel safe. All that will be at stake for just one misunderstanding, because it's not true. It's just a belief. And even though I had experiences where some people were behaving that way, it's not a general truth. And you need to get rid of that belief. For example, in this case, disbelief, in order to stop a specific problem. So the whole story is about showing you how one belief can have such a huge impact, and how powerful it is to then get rid of a belief. So if you have not necessarily only like experiences with being in very abusive and toxic relationships, but you in general have something that happens to you, or some kind of people you keep on meeting or attracting, or some kind of relationships you keep on ending up in, or that you can't get, like you have certain things that you cannot get, succeed in, or hold on to, then it's probably just a belief, and we can get rid of that. So if you want to know how you can get rid of that, and you want to hear more about it, please just contact me. You can fill out the form in the description below, and I hope I will hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. I enjoy this a lot. I love you.